So, Mike, you get behind the scenes, right, of the uber rich and what they want and how they're spending their money. And is there any difference now than when you first started the company?
You know, I think that it's more authentic now, actually. The numbers are getting bigger and the people are getting more real. People used to kind of shy away. They had big ideas, but when the price tag came back, they were like, yeah, you know, maybe we'll do that next week, and they would never call back. Whereas now, you know, somebody goes to a restaurant, they go to Boulay, and they fall in love with David Boulay. They think, you know, can we get him for a private dinner party? Sure, it's $25,000. Great, next Thursday. And so I just feel like there's more reality.
So there's more real rich people than you're saying fake rich people?
Yeah, you know, I used to differentiate them between millionaires and thousandaires. And I've become a thousandaire thanks to the millionaires and billionaires.
I think what they're doing is they're actually coming out of the closet. They're being a lot more, you know, in terms of out in the open. You know, I'm from the Midwest in South Dakota. We've got a lot of those millionaires that are now coming up out of North Dakota, but a lot of them are land rich, you know, that's what we call. But we don't typically show it off. And even, let's take Warren Buffett. I was, you know, driving down the street. I'm in my own private car going down the street here in New York, and I passed Warren Buffett, who's hailing a cab. You know, so a lot of these guys in the
that's
Midwest,
why he's a billionaire.
That's why he's a billionaire. Exactly right. But I've also been partners with Sheldon Adelson, who's one of the richest billionaires in the world.
But you made a good point. So in the Midwest, though, okay, so here in New York, you know, we're talking about vapid displays of wealth, huge, you know, $100 million penthouses and fancy cars. But in the Midwest, it's a little bit different in terms of the way people display their wealth.
Yeah,
right?
you'll see it. I mean, let's take Ted Turner, for instance, one of the biggest landowners in the world, and certainly in the United States, and he owns massive amounts of land in the Midwest, you know, in Montana, South Dakota, and North Dakota. But you typically, you know, we have those folks. My neighbor, I know he's worth about $100 million, but he's out mowing his lawn on the weekend. You know, those are the kinds of things you typically see.
So you guess that he's worth $100 million?
No, I know what he's worth, because I know he's got his own private plane. I borrowed it, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, you see those kind of things. Now, it doesn't mean we're not wearing a Frederick Constant watch and, you know, and nice tailored clothes. You know, I even got the Mont Blanc pen. I'm trying to show off everything. And shameless plugs. You know, they're doing those kind of things, but we're not talking about it. We're not showing it, like a lot of the folks that are, you know, going to this.
Like these East Coasters.
Yeah, these East Coasters.
Well, Phil has been, you know, he's been put on this job now of studying millionaires and billionaires. And Phil, tell us a little bit about the regional differences and what you found.
I think that's the most interesting thing, Betty. What's fascinating about the state that leads everything, Maryland, is because it's all related to Washington, D.C. It's all related to the federal government. The most interesting thing, I think, post-financial crisis is Washington, D.C., Virginia, and Maryland were basically recession-proof. But here's the problem I think that everybody's looking at right now. You have all these millionaires. Maryland's been leading the list for the last couple of years now. That might actually change. When the federal government starts to cut its size with all the big spending cuts and everything like that, that has an immediate negative impact on the lawyers, consultants, and lobbyists. So, Betty, what I'm actually really interested to see is with the spending cuts, things of that nature we've seen, these millionaires might start disappearing. Maryland might actually fall off the top of that list.
Okay, and North Dakota, as you mentioned, right?
Well, I was going to say, you watch North Dakota, and what we're seeing there is the oil that's coming in with the fracking, the shelling, all the things that are going on. But a lot of other industries are popping around that are servicing those guys. You know, the guys that are selling the picks and shovels are actually the ones really making the money.
Well, isn't Mike?
That's exactly right.
Is North Dakota perhaps a new branch for your company?
It could be. Again, this is big brain stuff. I'm focused on New York right now, and I know that there's a lot of development going on actually up north in Toronto. So kind of thinking about going there. And it's the same phenomenon that happened in New York, where people are just buying up properties left and right, and they're looking to rent them out, and it's just a safe haven for their money. And
yeah, but you got to remember, in North Dakota, there are no penthouses, and I doubt few people are going to listen to Mike Boulay in Fargo. I'm sorry.
David.
Is it David? See, I don't even know. In South Dakota, I've never.
Come on.
Who the guy? I don't know. Oh, yeah, he's a singer, right? He's a singer.
Yes, but you said private car.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
I have an industry booking private cars for you and getting the ink replaced on your Mont Blanc pen.
Now, that would be awesome, but I want a pickup truck. That's the difference.
Mike, by the way, I've always been curious. Is there anything that has been requested that you couldn't do?
You know what? No, because as long as somebody's willing to step up to the price, there are oftentimes that things fall short because, you know what, money is access, and people love access, but they have to understand there's a price with it. So when the price is right, no, there's nothing I can't do.
But even a lot of those guys...
Except when it's illegal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but most of those folks aren't asking you the price.
Yeah,
Quite frankly, they're just want it. They're saying, go get it, right? I mean, that's what most of these folks, they want, it's time, and you're buying them time and the access, which is cool.